Okay, sit down and be quiet. I literally just got back from the movie theater. I went and saw the new Jurassic World Rebirth movie, and I'm about to give you my full thoughts and review on the film. So this is definitely going to be pretty spoiler heavy, and by pretty spoiler heavy, I mean I'm going to spoil the entire fucking movie for you. So if you haven't seen it and you don't want to hear all the bullshit that I'm about to say, you got 5 seconds. Alright, you're fucked. So yeah, if you guys have been watching the channel previously, you might remember that I put out a scathing review of the trailer for this movie. And I'll just go ahead and say, if you've seen the trailer, you've already pretty much seen the entire movie. There's not a whole lot that was left to the imagination. But like I said, I just got out of the cinema. I went to the 10 a.m. showing with all the elderly people. And yeah, the theater wasn't that full, but who in the fuck is going to see Jurassic World Rebirth at 10 a.m. the first day that it's out? Me. But either way, yeah, let's just get right into it. And yeah, the movie begins just as I had feared, on a brand new island that we've never heard of or never been introduced to prior to this. And it's called like St. Hubert or St. Fat Albert or some stupid shit. And I don't understand. There's about 4 or 5 other islands already in the canon that we've never seen on film, but they just had to do something new. And so we show up on this island. And within the first 5 minutes of the movie, the entire operation on this secret island full of dinosaurs and mutant dinosaurs is brought to a screeching halt by a Snickers bar wrapper that gets stuck in an air vent. And I will go no further on that. And that's just a flashback to 17 years earlier, and that we needed some kind of explanation as to why the Reviewasaurus Rex breaks out of his pen. And like I said, it's because of a candy bar wrapper. Yeah, and then it pushes forward to the present day where the bad guy of the movie just gets stuck in traffic because there's a giant fucking dying Apatosaurus in the middle of New York City just blocking up the road and fucking everything up. I hate when that happens. And apparently all the other dinosaurs from the other 6 movies are all just dying off. They just cannot hack it anymore. They're all just dropping fucking dead. And then that's where we meet Scarlett Johansson and the kind of nerdy scientist guy of the movie, and they get told that they're being recruited on a secret mission to go to this Fat Albert Island to get some dinosaur blood to cure heart disease. So, you know, whenever you get home and you're really hungry and you want to make a sandwich and you got a jar of peanut butter and there's just a little bit left, so you really just got to get that knife in there and just scrape up any little bit of peanut butter you can get left to just try and make a decent sandwich. That's how they came up with the plot of this movie, was through actions like that, except I'm afraid that they were allergic to peanut butter, and I think that this movie might have killed the franchise. But yeah, they get offered like $1 bajillion trillion, and so they accept the job. And then we fly to South America, where we meet Duncan Kincaid, and he's one of Scarlett Johansson's kind of besties. And he's kind of the order of operations for the whole thing. He's got a big boat. They needed a guy with a boat, and Duncan Kincaid, he's got a boat. So he's now in the movie with his boat. Keep in mind, all the dinosaurs in the other previous movies are now all dead, or they're going to die. And the only dinosaurs that are left can only exist in this little tiny band around the equator of the Earth. And it's because their hearts require more oxygen, and the temperature of the Earth around the equator is more like it was 65 million years ago. And you remember that jar of peanut butter I was talking about? So they get a little ragtag crew assembled, and we get this kind of weird moment where Duncan Kincaid and Scarlett Johansson are just sitting on the boat kind of talking about how big of pieces of shit they are, and how a bunch of their loved ones died, and then they have missed their mother's funeral, and they're just kind of just pieces of shit. And there's like this really sad piano music happening in the background, and it feels really fucking weird. And they're all just confessing this stuff to each other, and it just feels like an episode of Maury. And I don't know if it was one of those things where they had to put this in the movie as kind of like, oh, we need a character arc. We need to show people that they can overcome their bloodthirsty mercenary ways for just money and stop being greedy. But it didn't land. It felt weird as fuck. It felt out of place. And That was probably one of the first times in the movie of watching it that I was just like, what the fuck is happening? Yeah, and then out of nowhere, we get introduced to a second group of people, and it's this family on a boat, just kind of taking like a pleasure cruise or some shit around Dinosaur Island. And we meet just this absolutely spineless little pussy-ass dad, and I gotta sneeze. Never mind, I fought through it. Anyways, we meet this really pussy-ass dad and his little daughter, who I've adapted to just basically just be Dora the Explorer in my headcanon. And then we meet his oldest daughter, who's just a sassy piece of shit, who just belittles him the entire movie. And then we meet her, like, stoner boyfriend, who is not worth a shit, and I don't know why he's even there or on the boat. And the dad is just spineless. The boyfriend finally comes up out of the bottom of the boat, and he's like, hey, man, I've been driving this boat for a minute. I think it's your turn to maybe steer the ship for a little bit. And the boyfriend's like, nah, I'm just going to go fuck your daughter or something. I don't want to do that. And the dad's just like, okay, I'll just keep driving the boat. It was hard to watch. Anyways, their boat gets flipped over by a giant prehistoric mosasaurus. And you can really tell that the father did zero research to see if maybe he was going to be in fucking sea monster territory while they were out doing his cruise. And there's just more random, out-of-place piano music that sounds like it should be in like a noir movie, not a Jurassic Park or Jurassic World movie. If you see the film, you'll know what I'm saying. When the piano starts playing, you're just like, who put this in there? Anyways, Scarlett Johansson and Duncan Kincaid, their whole crew, comes to the rescue of this family who got their boat flipped by a mosasaurus. And they let them on board, and then the daughter and the kids just start questioning them and being like, well, what are you guys doing? What is this shit? And it's like, bitch, none of your fucking business. This is a little bit above y'all's pay grade, and we just rescued you, so you should probably be a little bit more thankful than to start getting in our business about big dinosaur heart, disease curing shit. You got nothing to do with this plot. Just sit down. Yeah, so then the mosasaurus shows back up with a pack of spinosauruses to kind of thin out some of the cast, and the kids are just still being entitled, and one of them almost falls off the boat. And the bad guy in the movie kind of has an opportunity to save her, but he kind of does the whole Scar Mufasa thing and just kind of like turns his back. And she ends up falling into the water, and then the boyfriend goes in after her. And then that kind of splits the crew up. Now we're back to where we were, and it's like, why the fuck did you guys get on the boat in the first place if, 15 minutes later we're back to square one? I don't know why you're here, and hopefully you get eaten. And so Duncan Kincaid's plan to get rid of all the dinosaurs is to just drive the boat into shallow water and crash it onto the beach. But they do get the Mosasaurus's big salty dino juice, so it's okay that he totals his boat and their only means of escape, it seems. And yeah, so they end up on the beach, and one of the disposable characters gets eaten, and Scarlett Johansson kind of, rallies the troops, and she's like, hey, we got 2 other dinosaurs we got to get their juice from, so why don't we just go ahead and finish the mission so that I guess these people didn't die in vain. And there's this super weird shot that just stuck out to me where she pulls out like some wire cutters and cuts through a fence that you could easily just step underneath. And watching her do that was so awkward. And I think that they put it in there just so she could kind of show that she has some upper body strength. But that scene for me, that pulled me out of the movie. You could have had aliens come down from space, and I would have not been so distracted as I was by that scene. So if you see this movie and you see her pull out her little, kind of bolt cutters or whatever to cut through this fence that you could easily just sidestep through, it stuck out like a sore thumb to me, but I'm retarded, so. And yeah, the other family just washes up on shore. None of them got eaten because we can't have children being eaten in this movie. But the boyfriend just asked Dora the Explorer if she smokes weed, and then they decide that they need to follow these kind of geothermal vents to a workers' village that has a helipad because apparently that's their way of getting rescued. And Dora the Explorer finds this really cute little tiny baby dinosaur on this island of just complete freak monstrosities. And it really just shows for me that Hollywood has got to stop making movies. If you want to make a movie with a decent story and for shit to just make sense and not be fucking rickety and wobbly, stop making movies with the sole intention of selling toys. Because that's all this motherfucker is. They put this shit in there so they can sell a bunch of toys of a cute little dinosaur. He has nothing to do with the film. He's a freak. I don't like looking at him. And we all know why he's there. You need to sell some plushies. You need to sell pajama sets to 6-year-olds. So you got to put this fucking stupid, retarded dinosaur in this movie to befriend this little girl. And doesn't make any sense. But yeah, and then while everybody's asleep, the stoner boyfriend just goes to take a piss. And to my surprise, it's the only time in the entire movie that you see a velociraptor. And it's blurry. It's in the background because the main focus of the shot is that there's a teenager pissing. And you see these velociraptors in the background, and you kind of really only know they're raptors because of the noises they make. They get eaten by some other big winged creature, and then that's all they are in the movie. You have no other velociraptors or hints at velociraptors in the entire movie. You just see one over the shoulder of some kid trying to take a piss, and it's blurry. And I'm going to be honest with you, I felt kind of ripped off a little bit. I know that they've been in every single fucking movie, but shit, man, if you might as well just not put them in there then. If that's how you're going to use them. Fall from grace, you know? After that, we see the other team get some Titanosaurus juice, and that's because the Titanosauruses are apparently distracted because they just woke up. It's like early in the morning, and they're horny trying to fuck, and these people are just stabbing them with needles. And that's probably one of the more beautiful shots of the movie. It looks pretty cool. And I know it seems like I'm throwing a whole lot of hate on this movie, but I will be 100% transparent when I say that by this point in the movie, sitting in that movie theater at probably like 10:45, 10:50 a.m. at this point, I didn't hate this movie. I was decently into it. I kind of left all of my hopes and dreams at the door, and I will say that definitely elevated the experience. So I would highly suggest that to anybody else who might be going to see this movie. Just kind of tamp it down a little bit. Don't expect the whole ton, and just kind of let your brain turn into pudding, and you might have a pretty good time. Yeah, and then the little girl names her new dinosaur pet Dolores. And in the theater, I couldn't help myself but just sit there and think that this dinosaur should have been named Dolores the Explorasaurus Rex. But that would have sold some toys. Speaking of Saurus Rex, that family just kind of runs into a giant sleeping Tyrannosaurus Rex, and of course they wake it up, unintentionally, but they wake that motherfucker the fuck up, and he is huge. And the river raft scene in this movie was adapted from the original novel, and I thought it was pretty good. I thought that was pretty sick. I'll be honest with you. When the Tyrannosaurus, you finally get a big wide shot of him, and he's fucking all horned up, and he roars and shit. I felt something. I felt something in that theater. You know, it might have only been for a split second, and I hope it wasn't herpes, but I definitely felt something. And, yeah. So the river raft scene with the Tyrannosaurus Rex was honestly, I'd say top 3 scenes in the entire movie. I'd say probably top 5 to 10 scenes in the franchise, maybe. It was pretty sick. And they did a good job of making that Tyrannosaurus look just beef boyed up. And after that, we go back to the other team, and they're just kind of girl bossing their way down a cliffside to get some Quetzalcoatlus egg juice. And that's the big flying motherfucker. And he looks completely different than he did in the last movie, but one thing I've kind of enjoyed about this movie so far, they don't really talk about the other movies. They don't really talk about the last movie. And I think that definitely helps them rather than hurts them. So I'll take the Quetzalcoatlus looking completely fucking sideways from the way he did in the last movie because I don't want to go backwards. I don't want to think about Fallen Kingdom and Dominion. I could go the rest of my life never thinking about that shit. And so I'm pretty glad that this movie just kind of went, oh yeah, that thing, those movies, yeah, they existed. But yeah, anyways. And so, yeah, they successfully get the Quetzalcoatlus blood sample on this like 90-degree cliffside. And wouldn't you know it, there's this ancient indigenous stairwell that was there the entire time. So one of the guys falls, you know, all the way down the fucking cliffside and lands in some water, thankfully. And then, yeah, the other guys just go walking down a stairwell. And it's like, shit. It's a lot cooler that you did it, you know, kind of free-falling, but you could have just used the stairs. And something that I've noticed about the bad guy in this movie is why would you hire a bunch of, you know, good-hearted mercenaries that just keep questioning you at every turn? It's like, you guys are just getting a paycheck. How about you shut the fuck up, shoot some dinosaurs, make a billion, trillion, gajillion bucks, and just let the bad guy handle the bad guy shit. Quit trying to have a fucking, you know, redemption arc in the middle of the jungle surrounded by dinosaurs. It's not the time or the place, and it really just makes the bad guy look like he is not in control of the situation at all. And yeah, we're probably about an hour and a half or something into this film, and both the groups, the family, the Dora the Explorers, and the mercenaries, they meet back up at this geothermal plant to be rescued, and it's super convenient. But yeah, it all falls apart whenever this, you know, 17-year-old generator apparently just kicks back on every single night and just plays oldies at the gas station. And they run into these things called mutodons that are these mutant hybrid dinosaurs, which I wish they'd just fuck off with this shit. Stop with the goddamn mutant dinosaurs. But anyways, they run into these things, and they got like the same color scheme as like one of those old 90s, you know, Street Shark hand puppets. And they kind of just look like some medieval creature that would be carved in stone at the top of some fucking castle, like a gargoyle or some shit. They look stupid as shit, but they end up there, and they start getting attacked by these new mutodon creatures. And it's at this point in the movie when I really started to kind of think that you really could have just used velociraptors in this scene. I mean, it pretty much kind of would have been sort of a rehash of the end of the Lost World Jurassic Park, where there's raptors in a kind of, you know, workers' village, and there's a gas station and shit. But you could have replaced the mutodons with badass-looking velociraptors, and it wouldn't have done really anything to change the scene. In fact, I think it probably would have helped the scene, because the mutodons just look stupid, man. They look like some shit from Hollow Earth. And that was the second point in the movie where I kind of was looking around like, does anybody else think this is retarded? Yeah, and then Dolores, the Explorasaurus Rex, shows back up, and you got this tiny little baby dinosaur that just follows them across the entire island. Doesn't get eaten by anything, but just keeps finding these people so that this movie can continue showing it to sell more toys. It's like you should have just made the motherfucker speak English or something. That way, you know, you're gonna do that. You're just gonna just shamelessly plug this cute, adorable dinosaur to be in this movie for some sales. Just make it speak English. Have it just do a bunch of baby talk the whole movie. The children would love that. Also, we get fucking hella product placement at the Jurassic 7-Eleven in the movie. They had to get all their endorsements and sponsors out of the way in one sitting. Man, we see Dr. Pepper, Doritos, fucking everything. This whole movie has had a shocking amount of product placement. I kept noticing it over and over, but goddamn, man, in that gas station, pick your snack, boys. Take it up to the register, because they got fucking everything. So the rescue helicopter actually shows up to pick them up, but it gets eaten by the big old Cephalosaurus Rex. And he's just chomping on this fucking helicopter like he's King Kong. Yeah, and when he shows up, the bad guy gets conveniently eaten by the Gonorrheosaurus Rex, and his arm that is connected to a briefcase that's got the 3 blood samples in it conveniently doesn't get eaten, and it just lands on the ground so Scarlett Johansson can pick up his corpse arm and have the samples and maybe get their money or open source the cure. They talked about all kinds of weird shit in this movie, and I was too busy looking at the big old, just voluptuous, just titty-looking hump on the top of that dinosaur's head. And woo! That thing's got some knockers on it, man. And just like that, they just escape the Cephalosaurus Rex and find a boat conveniently and then just sail off into the sunrise, into Spinosaurus and Mosasaurus infested waters with no means of communication. No real direction, I guess, unless they just follow the stars or some shit. But the little girl put Dolores the Explorosaurus Rex in her backpack, and it's just going to take that dinosaur home with her. And if they live anywhere above Mexico City, that dinosaur is going to die. So it's pretty much like a death sentence that she's going to take that thing back to, Boise, Idaho, to go live in the backyard with her and her dog Skip or something, It's fucking stupid, but you got to sell them toys, man. And I'll be honest with you, once again, if you just don't think about it too much, this movie is not awful. I went in with very low expectations. I did not expect much. I haven't expected much since probably Jurassic Park 3. And I'll be honest with you, I'm sure you can find a lot of other reviewers that'll just shoot this down immediately, but it wasn't horrible. It wasn't as bad as motherfuckers are making it out to be. I had fun. I had a good time. I'm sure the geriatrics sitting next to me, they probably enjoyed it if they could even stay awake during the whole thing. But it's not that bad of a movie. I definitely wouldn't say it's awesome. It's probably, if you were going to rank these movies, it definitely goes the original first, of course, the second, and then probably this one. And then all the other ones are just dog slop that should be swimming around in cow manure somewhere because they suck. But it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that good, but it wasn't that bad. But I also kind of question if I kind of have like cinematic beer goggles right now. You know what I mean? Because it's been so long since I've seen a really, really good movie in theaters. And it's kind of like, whenever you haven't, cranked your hog in a while, and even refrigerators and light poles kind of start to appear more attractive than they might if you had a more sensible state of mind going on. But it got the job done. It was okay. And this is one of the last things I'll say. I thought about this as the movie was wrapping up. Crazy take here. But if this movie could have been, obviously, better and constructed differently, if this would have been the premise-ish for just the second Jurassic Park, let's say that the first Jurassic Park was just the only one, and then they made a second one. I think the idea of this could have been an even better sequel than what we got with The Lost World Jurassic Park. And I loved The Lost World Jurassic Park, but just listen. Imagine, you don't create another island. You don't even go to Isla Sorna. You don't even have to bring that up. You just keep it on Isla Nublar. And somebody has to go back to this island that's in disrepair, and they're going to, let's say, exterminate the dinosaurs like they were going to do in the book, but they have to get some stuff first. They have to retrieve some shit on this island, and that's where you really start to see, like, oh, shit, there was like a Distortus Rex and a bunch of fucking fucked up bullshit they were really doing on this island, and it really just takes it back to basics, because I think that's one of the cool things about Jurassic Park. I think the general idea of there being mistakes on the island and dinosaurs that weren't meant to survive and weren't meant to exist, that is a pretty cool concept in theory. To put it in the seventh movie, you kind of took a big old long wide step to get there or whatever, but I just think that this could have maybe been a cool idea for a second film if you would have put it back on Nublar just a few years after the first one, and you really start to see how fucked up InGen really was and the shit they were doing. And just keep the story simple, keep it small. Don't add a bunch of extra characters or a bunch of bullshit. If you just keep it on that island and you just keep it showing, what they were going to do on that island and what they were creating and all the mishaps and bullshit that they had, bullshit that they created, it could have been cool. But what do I know? And that's my take on Jurassic World Rebirth. It's not the best movie I've ever seen, but I'm going to be fucking real with y'all. I'll say it. It's not the worst movie ever, man. I think that there's a decent amount of the population that will go see this movie and have fun and walk away from it and be like, damn, yeah. I mean, I wasn't listening to Mozart, but it was pretty good. It got the job done. And sometimes, man, when you get to your 7th fucking film, which I don't think they should be at 7 anyways, but if you're at your 7th film, that's okay, man. This is better than some of the other ones they've done. And, I'm just, at this point, honestly, with any movie, I'm just taking them for what they are. I'm trying real hard to just be a good sport and just kind of enjoy it for just the fucking doo-doo slop that it is. And with that being said, yeah, this was a tiny bit above doo-doo slop for me. I didn't hate it. I would go see it again. I think it was fine. But I also haven't slept on it. I just got out of the theater just to record this stupid video, so let me know what you think. If you go and see it, just leave a comment below, leave your opinion. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And that's it, buddy. I'm going to Island of St. Fat Albert for vacation, so